So today's meeting, where last Sunday's meeting was about the changes, why the changes, and the details of the changes, today's meeting is about, if you have decided that you are coming before the changes take place, how do you make that happen? And apologies for moving the meeting from last night. Obviously, Lynette actually informed me, because I don't really follow what's happening in South Africa anymore. It's just one of those things that once you're on Panama, you kind of lose interest about the ANC government and their next move and what they're doing. So what we did decide is that to move it to tonight, just in case they block travel again, and then anything that we may discuss here will no longer be relevant. So we just needed to check to see. So today's meeting is, once you have decided that you are coming to Panama before the cutoff date, how are we going to do that? And I'm going to give you the people's names and telephone numbers that can help you do this. So we're going to start, number one, by getting a quotation. What we are going to do is to give you the details of how to make this happen. In other words, if you decide that you are coming here before August to do it, how do you get that right? So we'll run through various options and various things that you need to happen. So the very first thing that you need to do if you decide to come to Panama is to get a quote from a law firm. The quote consists out of two things. The one is your corporation, because that is what's changing in this new law, is that you can no longer just own a corporation. So if you want to do it under the old laws, just owning a corporation. In other words, and this is important, being a shareholder, number one, and a director. This is important because there are people that are on other people's corporations, but sometimes the only reason they're on the corporation is because they needed a third director. But if they did not add you as a shareholder, then it means nothing to you. Then you need to be a shareholder. However, it costs less to join somebody else's corporation than what it is to start a whole new corporation. So you're looking at between $400 to $500, $550 to actually join somebody else's corporation. You can, if you're on somebody's corporation, you have family in Panama, whatever the case may be, then you can absolutely join somebody else's corporation. And that means it costs you less. So if you have somebody that have, and the only way this is going to work, of course, is the other two people or the other three people that have in their corporation are people that they are willing to kick out. So a lot of people established a corporation where the law firm actually gave them a couple of people from the law firm. So when you have that situation, then absolutely you can ask for a resignation letter from the corporation for that or from that person, and then just say, all right, guys, what we've done now is we've decided to come to Panama. So please, will you resign from the corporation? And then what you do is you add yourself to that corporation, or you add your family members, or whatever the case may be. If you're going to start a new corporation, I can tell you now the cost is $1,250. That is to start a new corporation. It is the way I prefer it because it's a fresh corporation. It's a new corporation. You can actually go and just start your corporation from fresh. So that is the way I would suggest. If you want to save money and you can join somebody else's corporation, yes, that is absolutely possible. You can do that. But start a new corporation, that's the one part of getting a quotation. Then you need to get a quotation on the actual immigration fees. I cannot possibly tell you what that fees would be because it depends on several things. It depends on how many adults. Those adults, are they dependents? Are they main applicants? And then furthermore, kids, even with kids under the age of 18, of course, anybody that has reached the age of 18 is no longer considered a child. You need special permission to put them as a dependent. Those special permissions are, number one, they need to be studying at an institution in Panama. Then you can keep them as a dependent until they're 24. Or if they're mentally or physically handicapped, they can stay as a dependent on you, on the parent, indefinitely. But so the quote will consist out of your corporation, whatever you need for the corporation, whether it is a new corporation or whether it is to be added to somebody's corporation. So from your law firm, that is what you would need to find out, your corporation and then your family members. For those of you who do not have quotes yet, I'm going to invite you now, look in the chat. I'm going to send my number there and send me a WhatsApp to say quote if you don't have one. So those are two people that have never contacted me before and people that have contacted me before and you have not received your quote yet, because that just means that you've somewhere gone into a junk mail somewhere and we need to get you your quote. So right now in the chat, I am typing my cell phone number. Send me a WhatsApp. So I'll start, of course, with the country code. And then the rest is my personal cell phone number. That's in there. It's +507, that's the country code, then 64358026. So what you need to do is contact me. Send me a WhatsApp now with your name and your surname and say quote. And we're going to do this several times today. If there's a certain step you don't have, you're going to send me a WhatsApp to say, I need this step. So if you don't have a quote that has been arranged through me or through a company called Expat Immigration Services, send me a WhatsApp now. And then after the meeting, I'll get to everybody that still is looking for a quote. If you have received a quote and you don't know what's going on the quote, then send me your email address on the WhatsApp and say explain. And then I will know I can explain the quote to you. What are you being charged for? What does it mean? What else is perhaps not in your quotation? So regardless of which law firm you use. So once again, I've got a law firm which I use, which I trust. I back them 100%. I know they're going to look after my clients. And today, through various steps, we're going to do this where I'm going to give you people to say, these are the people that I trust. So all you have to do is contact these people if you want service that I basically guarantee. So the law firm that I use, Expat Immigration Services, some of you know Dave Barrera. So all you need to do is just have a look at that, get your quotes, make sure that everything is sorted. Right, so quote from a law firm. Number one, send me a WhatsApp. If you don't have it, I'm going to leave my WhatsApp up there in the chat, my WhatsApp number, because several times I'm going to ask you to send me a WhatsApp. Once you have your quote, then you need to see, is this doable for you? Do you have the money for this? To do the actual legal fees and expenses, what they call expenses, money that needs to be paid to the government of Panama for various conditions, depending on how many family members, all of these things. Step number two, once you have that quote, the next thing that you need to find out is, do you actually have all the documents? Because now we're getting to the crux. And once again, like the legal and immigration fees, you would need, different families will have the need for different documents. As an adult, you don't need a birth certificate. You personally don't need a birth certificate unless you are bringing your parents as a dependent. Then you need to prove those people are really your parent, and you need to prove through a birth certificate. Birth certificates only unabridged. When do you need a marriage certificate? Marriage certificate only if you're bringing kids over as dependents, or if your wife or your husband is your dependent, then you need a marriage certificate. But if you are a couple that are coming, two people only, and you're both main applicants, you don't need a marriage certificate. Every adult, doesn't matter who they are, once they reach 18 years of age, as a dependent, as a main applicant, needs a clear police clearance certificate. When I mean clear, the wording must be no criminal offense found on this person's record. If it is one from 20 years ago where you were caught driving under the influence, or you were caught for driving without a license and it sits on your police record, the next question I get asked a lot is, will they allow me when there's that small little stupid offense? No, they won't allow you. Your chance of getting permanent residency is almost zero if there is something. Once again, steps can be taken. So the next number I'm going to put in the chat is to get your police clearance. Now, I've done this in the previous meeting. I'm going to do it again. And we're going to go through this. and I'm going to give you Jana's number. So if you don't have Jana's number, I'm about to put that in the chat. So then you WhatsApp Jana. She can help you within 10 working days. So her number is a South African number. She is in South Africa. She's in Pretoria, and she will be able to help you get your police clearance certificate within 10 days. If there's a delay, maximum 15 days. And then she adds another 3 days for Durko. The price there, she's agreed on a price for us of 1,700 Rand plus apostille, I think it's 300 Rand. So you're looking at about 2,000 Rand per application that she can get to you within 2 weeks, roundabout, give or take a few days. I'm just putting her number now. You don't have to deal with her through me. You can deal with her directly. If you want to keep me in the loop, you are more than welcome. But you can send her a WhatsApp directly. So that is her number in the chat now. That is Jana. She can help you with your police clearances. Every adult, every person that has reached the age of 18 needs a police clearance. Without that, you can forget about applying. You will not be successful. So you need your police clearance. That police clearance must be apostilled. So that part is very, very important. You need to apostille that document. So take down Jana's number and make sure. For those of you who joined late, my name is Will Count. I'm from a company called Panagrate. We help South Africans come to Panama. Our services, our help to get here is absolutely 100% free. Right, so for those of you once again late, the reason behind this particular session, why we've got this session, is to how successfully apply for your permanent residency before the law changes, and the law changes on the 20th of August. Up until right now, I get people saying the 4th of August, the 5th of August. There are law firms out there on social media giving out the wrong information. The last day that we can do it under this current law is the 19th of August. The new law is in play from the 20th of August, which means you have until the 19th of August to get your temporary residency. Your process needs to be completed by the 19th of August. Temporary resident card in hand, then you know that you are safe. And the reason for this meeting is to tell you which documents, which service providers that we trust, and which steps to follow. So number one, we're going to recap quickly. You get your quote. Once you see this is something that you can do, then you know you can spend money on the process. You spend further money on your police clearance. If you don't have one, your police clearance is only valid for 6 months from date of issue, and you are now in a race against time. You cannot go through the normal channels. You have to use somebody that can expedite it for you. Jana's chat, or Jana's number rather, is in the chat. So have a look at Jana's number. That is the number that I posted last. I'll just add her name there as well for you. So Jana, for police clearances, that's that 74718596 number. Right, so these two are the first and the basic and the obvious steps, but they are the most important. Everything else we can wing from here. But getting your police clearance, getting the right documents, and getting a quote and a law firm to work with, those are the non-negotiables. Those are the basics. Right. So once you have your quote and once you have your police clearance, we can start looking at other documents. So you need several documents for several different institutions. For immigration, the documents you need for immigration is as follows. You need a passport. You need a second form of identification. For us as adults, that is your ID book or your ID card. For kids under 18, that is their unabridged, and I say again, unabridged marriage birth certificate. So unabridged birth certificate has to be apostilled. If it's not apostilled, it's not going to work. Then you need all adults, the police clearance, we spoke about that, has to be apostilled, otherwise it won't be accepted. And then we spoke about marriage certificate as well. If you have kids or one person is dependent, then you're going to need a apostilled marriage certificate. Marriage certificate, you don't need it unabridged, but you do need the one that is printed by Home Affairs with a Home Affairs stamp and a Home Affairs official that signed for it. That is the only one you can have apostilled. And guys, keep in mind, apostilled documents, if you take it to Durco, to apostille, cannot be copies, must be original, and it cannot be laminated. That's important. A lot of people laminate their documents thinking that they're saving it for the future. You're ruining it, because once you laminate it, you'll have to cut that open with a blade and take that laminated document out of there, because they do not apostille laminated documents. So that is what you need for actual immigration. But before immigration, you have to open up your bank account. We're going to go for before you open your bank account, but let's take it in reverse. So that's what you need for immigration. Before immigration, you need to open up a bank account in Panama, a personal bank account, not a business account, a personal bank account. You only need 3 documents. So that's a simple process. You need your ID, you need a passport, and you need proof of income, which the absolute best way is an ITA 34 from SARS. That document is the number at the top right-hand corner, is an ITA 34. Failing that, you can have another proof of income, like pay slips, or if you've sold a house, the deed and the selling of the house, if you have any form of income, but we need to check that. So if you do not have an ITA 34, in other words, you have not been paying tax, then you take my number yet again now, and you send me and say, no ITA 34. Then I know that you have a problem, that you can't get an ITA 34. We are in the process at the moment of going to the various bank offices and finding out exactly, because it's now crunch time. We can't now start mucking about. So we're finding out exactly which documents are being used that we can successfully open up a bank account with. In the past, people would arrive here, we would go to the bank, they say, no, we accept this, no, we don't. And then we'd go back and we'd phone people in South Africa, take 2 or 3 days, sometimes a week. We've had people that takes 2 weeks to open up their bank account. We don't have that luxury anymore. So for that reason, we are finding out exactly which documents they're giving out to us in writing can we use to open up your bank account. All right. And the same goes for somebody who's got a child that's 19 years old and not yet working. They're saying, but how can I prove this child's approved income when he does not have any income? So we're finding out all of that. We are going to get answers in mail from the bank. We're in the process. We're just waiting for their answers, and we'll give it to you. So if you don't have an ITA 34, WhatsApp me, say no ITA 34, and any other information you want to put in there so we know how to help you. So that is the documents you need for your bank account. Only 3 documents, ITA 34 or whatever document you use for your proof of income. The other one then is your passport and your ID. But before you open up your bank account, you need to open up a corporation. So what do you need for a corporation? Now remember, a corporation can have 1 shareholder. It's allowed. It can also have 100 shareholders. That's also allowed. There's no limit on the amount of people in your corporation. There are law firms that are telling you for every main applicant, you need a new corporation. I can tell you now unequivocally, it's a money-making scheme. You don't have to open up a corporation for every main applicant. If the husband and wife comes together as a couple and they are both main applicants, they can use the same corporation, as well as their kids that are over 18 years of age can go in the same corporation. There's no law against how many people can go in a corporation. I tell you now, it's not required. So you only need to open up 1 corporation. However, every corporation must have a minimum of 1 shareholder. Obviously, the company's got to belong to somebody. So there's got to be at least 1 shareholder. There can be many. But the corporation also need a minimum of 3 directors. In other words, people that are not necessarily shareholders, but people who are listed in your corporation. So you have the treasury, you have the chairman, you have the secretary, whatever the case may be. Each one of those people, whether they are shareholders, doesn't matter, regardless of whether they are shareholders, regardless of whether they are directors, need 6 documents to be handed in. Those 6 documents are ID book, passport, then proof of residence in South Africa. So whether there's a rental contract, whether there's your municipality bill, whatever the case may be, proof of your residential address in South Africa. Then you need a bank confirmation letter. Don't need any bank statements or anything like that. It's a simple letter from the bank saying, I know with ABSA, you can basically walk into any ABSA and get it. F&B, you can do it online banking. The letter that states your full names and your account number. That's all you need. That's all that letter says. We hereby certify that WA account has a bank account with us, banking account number. That's all. Then the other two letters that they will need is a reference letter. That's very simple. So if it is a family member of yours, that is the other director, you guys can write each other. If it's friends, you guys can write each other a personal reference letter. All it says is, I know this person. The important information you need to put on there is from when. In other words, how long have you known this person and in what capacity? So if it is your wife, you say, I've known my wife, Samantha, for so long. I've met her there. She is a trustworthy person, and you can contact me to give her a reference. That is all the letter basically needs to state. And then the person who writes the letter, their contact details, email and cell phone number. So it's email and cell phone number from the person who writes the letter, and basically stating your full name, and they've known you for how long and in what capacity. That's it. The same goes for your next and last document you need for your corporation, and that is a professional reference letter. So the same thing, full name of the person writing the letter, contact details, email address, as well as cell phone number of the person that's writing the letter. In what capacity have they known you and for how long? So they can literally say, this person has been my employer or my employee for the last 3 years, whatever the case may be. And they just need to be able to contact that person. That is the only documents you need for your trip to Panama that you desperately need. Yes, there are lots of other documents. If you're bringing pets, then it becomes a different story. If you want to come and get a job here and you want to bring your educational certificates, different story. Then we can talk about that. But to get to Panama, and this meeting, and the goal of this meeting is to get you to Panama before the change in law on the 20th of August. So those are the required documents you need. Every family is different. They might have different requirements. If you're not sure, please just WhatsApp me. Once again, go back to the chat right now, and you'll see my number in there for those of you who has asked, and I see there's a question. So go back. I just quickly want to do that to my number, the +507 number, and just say their documents. So if you have a question regarding documents, then you can WhatsApp it to me. Somebody did ask a question, Mia, can you use a driver's license as your second form of identification? Yes, you can. I'll tell you a slight hiccup that we're finding is the driver's license don't copy very well. And for immigration, they want a copy of your driver's license. So, and they're struggling with the copiers because it's too dark or it's too light and they can't see properly. So if you can scan and print a copy, so much better. You can actually bring it with and give it to them because we have problems of people struggling with driver's license to make that a copy and make it a clear copy that's acceptable. We had it sorted. It took a bit of running around. So just be aware of that. While we talk about driver's licenses, we also had issues of people that arrived here that did not renew their driver's license in South Africa, and they come here with a temporary driver's license. Temporary driver's licenses are not accepted. So we can tell you that now from experience, it's not accepted. So your driver's license, to turn it into a Panamanian driver's license, you need your original South African valid driver's license. Can't be expired, and it can't be a temporary permit. It must be a valid driver's license as it is now. All right, so to recap yet again, so we've got your quote from the law firm. We've got you sorted with the documents you need. Now, your next important step, and probably the last very urgent thing for you to do, is to get to Panama flights. So right now, I am going to put in the chat the cell phone number of a very good friend of mine, as well as somebody that I trust. Absolutely, I can guarantee you she will look after you, and her name is Lynette Steyn. So you might have your own travel agent. From my side, the people that I'm giving you are the people that I trust, that I know can get the job done for you. So I'm going to type Lynette Steyn. It is a personal cell phone number, so you can send her a WhatsApp. and she can help you get to Panama. So there are many benefits. Before I type a name in and a number in, there are many benefits to using a travel agent, many benefits. I would always recommend you use a travel agent for the benefits they give you, particularly in these times, because things change so quickly. But why Lynette is that I can tell you from experience, and Lynette and I, we smile about it now, but we've had many arguments and got mad at each other regarding certain rules and regulations. But Lynette is IATA, so it's IATA, International Air Travel Association, I think it's called. She's accredited with them, and we've had situations where some of my clients, which luckily were also Lynette's clients, were stuck in Costa Rica, and the local people there, they don't know the rule, and they go, no, you can't fly to Panama, it's against the rule. And the rules have changed in the meantime. And Lynette actually phoned the head of COPPA on that side and got him on the line and got him to sort it out, and received an apology from them to Lynette for her clients that were booked there. So you really need somebody that can get in there and phone the people and know who to phone and know who to speak to and know which law to quote to them, and point them to the website and say, go read paragraph number 7, released last week. It says there that South Africans can now travel. Last week, we had a couple miss their flights because the guy in the queue onto their flight, even before they got to the booking agent or the lady that books them into the flight, said to them, no leisure travel to Panama is allowed. Sorry, man, you cannot go, which is, of course, rubbish. Leisure travel is not against the law. It is allowed. But they tried to argue with this guy. They didn't have anybody to phone. Eventually, they missed their flight. There's, at the moment, probably a 50-50 chance of that happening to you. So you got a 50% chance of somebody trying to either in South Africa or in your layover destination, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in wherever you fly, will try and prevent you from getting on the flight and telling you that, oh, your health form that you filled in is not correct, or your COVID test is not correct, or or that they just don't allow travel at the moment. And that is why you need somebody on the other side that you can send a WhatsApp to and say, please help me, because this is the issue that I'm having, and that will know where to get in and who to phone. Derek, just watch, you are typing us lots of messages by accident, I think. All right, so I'm going to use the international code because not everybody on the Zoom call is from South Africa. So I'm going to put her number in there. Her name is Lynette Steyn, and I highly, highly recommend you use her services. And if not, at least a recognized travel agent that is IATA. And if your travel agent is not IATA accredited, then don't even go there. Then it's absolutely not worth it. So that is Lynette's number. I just want to put that in there. Lynette Steyn. All right, Lynette, please just give me a thumbs up to make sure that your number is correct, or at least in the chat, just write something if you are there and if you are listening. All right, Lynette will help you with travel. So you've got your documents sorted, you've got your quote, you got your documents, including your police clearance, everything apostilled, you got your flights booked here in time. The next thing is, where do you stay? Before we talk about where do you stay, we got to talk about what are the rules and regulations. And once again, I'm going to give it to you currently, but by the time that you land, it might have changed, because I can't give you a guarantee it's going to be like this for a certain amount of time. So currently, you need to fly with a PCR, a negative PCR test. You have to arrive in Panama with a negative PCR test. And here it's one of those things, I'm not sure if it's 72 hours, 48 hours. There your travel agent or Lynette will be able to tell you. So you need to arrive with a negative PCR test. Then they will send you for what they call here in Panama a molecular test. The molecular test is going to cost you another $85. Once you get your test result back, so you're going to wait. And let me say this right in the beginning. When you arrive in Panama, at least 5 hours at the Panamanian airport. Document airport in Panama, prepare yourself. make sure you're ready for it about 5 hours. That's from the time you land till the time you leave the airport, because you're going to first go through customs, then you're going to go for your test, then you're going to have to wait for the results of your test, which takes about 2 hours. Then when you get the result, they're going to want to find out from you, all right, so you have tested negative, so you need to go into a 3-day quarantine. If you test positive, that quarantine becomes 7 or 14 days. But they're going to say to you, so you've tested negative. If you test negative from molecular test, have you booked into a quarantine facility? And if you have, you show them your booking form, and they've got a website where you can go and pick certain hotels. And I'm always, I don't like to put people down, but I can tell you this, that the last clients that we had here in Panama said to me, well, it is absolutely not worth it to book into that hotel. The service was horrible. So they've got hotels that you can book into that you then pay for yourself. Or you can say, I don't have a hotel booked, and they send you to a government hotel, which is a 3-star hotel. The people that went there said to me, nothing spectacular, but, you know, considering the fact that I didn't have to pay for it, it was absolutely adequate, more than adequate enough. And I've had some really anal people gone there that are really like, you know, they like the 5-star accommodation. And they said, you know, for the fact that it's for free, I would do that every time. So you've got a choice. You either pay for your own accommodation, which you can select from a list, from their official list of hotels, or you can say, no, put me in a hotel, and they put you in a hotel. Then you don't pay for it. The one you pay for yourself, the other one you don't pay for. Once that's done, you then get ushered, once again, collect your luggage, have to wait, and then you have to wait for transport. So they then got to send, and they normally use a police van. They send a police bus, not a van, a police bus. So they send a little minibus, police minibus, and they got to get it to the airport. They collect you and whoever else is going to the same airport, or to the same hotel rather, and then they go and drop you off at the hotel. The same goes if you are booked into, if you didn't book into a hotel, and they take you to one of their, which is called government hotels, which is, it's actually private hotels. The government just have rented them out, or the government are just paying them a monthly fee to take everybody coming in. So if you, even if you go to the free one, you still have to wait for the bus, and then the bus will take you to the hotel. You then quarantine in your hotel room, and you got to understand this, in your hotel room for 3 days. They bring the food up to your room. You don't go down to a dining room. They pay for everything though. If you go to the government one that you don't select, everything's for free. If you go to the one that you pay for everything, including the food, but it's all happening in your hotel room. You're not allowed to come down. After 3 days, they will send a nurse to come and test you, a normal test. I think it's an antigen that they use, the quick result one, 2 hours. And then on the 3rd day, after 3 nights in this facility, you can then leave if you test positive. So that is the whole process to get to Panama, and to get here well in advance so that you don't miss the cutoff date. What we then do, if you one of our clients and you're in contact with us, and particularly for those who stay at Panama House, we then sit with you and we plan the rest of your trip. So in other words, the day you come out, get you registered at immigration, open up your bank account for you. We do that the same day and get you into the process. It takes about 5 days on average. The quickest time we've had is 3 days. The longest we've had is 7 days. But on average, 5 days before you have your temporary residence in hand and you know you are sorted. So what we sometimes do is you apply, and it takes you 1 day. You apply, you then open up your bank account, and then we say, okay, it's going to be 4 days before you need it again. So for 4 days you can travel. And then we actually use one of the other branches. And this is the problem with using a law firm that's too cheap. And I spoke about it last Sunday, where you have people that, you know what, they're in Bukete as a lawyer. I've got a friend that said there's a lawyer in Bukete. And what happens is 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, you still don't have a bank account. You still don't have any immigration. It happens. And it happened to very good friends of mine. So there's a balance between the law firm you're using. One that is very good, that is situated, and I'll never change my mind on this, must be situated in Panama City. And one that you have heard of often, lots of people have referred it, but the price is right, because you do get law firms they are excellent law firms, but their prices are high. And then you get, and that is why I pick Expat Immigration Services and Di Barrera, is because she's got that perfect balance of the absolute personalized service. Your things get done quicker than anybody else can do them, and the price is not way up there with the other law firms. So hence, for no other reason than that, I refer my people to Di Barrera. And then, of course, I know the way they talk, I know the way they operate, and if there are any confusion, and that sometimes happens, you got to realize English is their second language. For a lot of us, English is our second language. So we're talking to each other in our second language, and particularly when it comes to Latin America and speaking Spanish, they use words a lot different than what we do. And sometimes there's a communication, and often I've been put them all saying, okay, whoa, that's not what they mean. They actually mean this, and people get mad. That is like, you think they don't want to service you. So if you want to be me to be in the process, I stay in the process. I look at all your quotes. I make sure you understand anything. If you have any issue, you send me a WhatsApp and I get on it and I help you out. And once again, that's all for free. How can we afford to do all of this for free? Well, it's very simple. I ask you as a client, when you are in Panama and you've liked what we've done for you and you trust us, then trust us with your accommodation. We've got Panama House, and we actually don't charge for accommodation. We charge for what we call Panama orientation. So we help you, just tell you where to buy. We get you to the law firm. We get you to immigration. We get you to the bank. So I ask you to make use of those services. We also have a transport service from the airport, where as you walk out the airport, I'm waiting for you. I put you in the car and we come to Panama House, and you don't have to worry about taxis and haggling with them and getting your cell phone going and Uber. We even bring a SIM card for you. You can immediately put a SIM card in. I help you to activate your SIM card, to load your data, all of those things. So this is for free, and all we're asking for is if you do trust us after we've dealt with you, then trust us with some services that you're going to pay for anyway. Once you're in Panama, just make use of us, and we can help you with the whole process. So that is the whole process, and that is the way to do it. Now, if there's anybody that has an urgent question, once again, I am going to look at the chat. I did see one or two other questions, but I invite you to rather send me a WhatsApp, because then you and I can talk. We can send each other messages, and if you don't like what I'm saying, or you don't understand what I'm saying, you can just send me a message back. Use my number there in the top. So I'm going to just copy it and paste it again, so it sits right at the bottom for anybody that has joined a little bit late. Just send me a WhatsApp, and we can chat about whatever issues you have, whatever questions you have. But it is important that you send me a WhatsApp so that I can respond to that. I am going to answer the one or two questions that is here, but I invite everyone to, instead of asking questions on the group, ask it to me directly. Right, can you discuss the opening of bank accounts and the amount of money you need? Let's do that, because that is information everybody needs. Thank you. Who was that? Lee, fantastic question. Thanks for that. So there's a difference between what the law says and what reality says. So the law says, and the law is actually, it is actually laughable. The law says that you need to have a regular amount of 4 figures in your bank accounts. So that is actually all the law says. So somewhere along the line, the agreed amount between the banks and immigration ended up being $5,000. So every main applicant needs to have $5,000 in his or her account. For every dependent you have, you need to add another $250 that you need to deposit. So the first and the most important thing is this is a deposit only into your own personal bank account. Nobody touches that money. Nobody can touch the money. It is your money. They just want to see that you have some money, some means to, obviously, particularly if you bring dependents, if you have dependents that they can actually depend on you. You have some money to look after these dependents, and the amount that was somewhere along the line agreed to was $5,000, plus a further $250 per dependent. So if we take your average family, which is the mother, the father, and 2 kids, the father would need $5,000 in his account. The mother would need $5,000 plus, because they normally just traditionally put them on the mother's application as dependents. So they would put the two kids on mothers, and mother would have then a further $500, $250 per child in her account. So the dad would need $5,000, the mother would need $5,500. I'm pretty sure you can ask them to put it on the dad or split it, but in the end, it doesn't really make any difference. Somebody's going to need to have an extra $250 per child into the bank account. So I don't want to go into it too much, because there are technical, there are ethical issues and moral issues from the banks. But if you don't have $5,000 per person, contact me. We can. Let me put it this way: I've had many clients arrive with only $5,000 between two main applicants, and we got them sorted. So this is. I don't want to say too much more about it. Just contact me. We'll have a look at that. Let me have a look at some of the. Oh, I actually left somebody out. So, but that's not that I left somebody out, but it's actually not as part of the emergency. But getting to Panama, it might be. How do you get your money from South Africa to Panama? Well, there's of course various ways. So the number one way is bring it in cash. So you need your $5,000 to put in the bank account. You can just remember this: every debit card and credit card from South Africa works in Panama. It works. You can swipe cards at any shop. You can book things on the internet through your credit card. Everything works. However, you can only draw $250 in cash per day from ATMs in Panama, and then you pay about $6.75 per transaction, because $1.75, or you can call it $2, because there's tax that gets added in that as well. You can call it $2. $2 gets added simply for doing the transaction from an ATM that is not your bank account. And then because it's an international bank account, they add a further $5. So you're paying $7 for every $250 that you withdraw. So yes, you can come and withdraw cash from ATMs. It's going to cost you a lot of money, but you can do it. You can bring it in cash on you. The best way that I have found is a company called Currency Assist. Now, Lynette also has somebody, but I just, my guy's my guy, and I trust him. He's never let me down with clients. I know who I'm talking to, but you need an agency that can help you. Why not just use your bank? Well, I found that banks are unreliable, that they're not very good with customer service, and that their fees are higher. So I'm going to put a guy by the name of Paul Kruger on there, and I invite you guys. So you guys know now that, we do this for free, but we like to keep track, and we like to know people when we send people to them. Like when you contact Lynette, just let her know that it comes from me, and Lynette does the same. She will let me know when she's sending me somebody. But if you can just let Lynette know that you're from me, you can let Expat Immigration, Dave Barrera, let her know that you come from me. It just helps. And the same with the guy by the name of Paul. His name is Paul Kruger. He's from a company called Currency Assist. I'm going to put his number up in the chat next. So what they do basically is you open up an account, either in Investec account, or I can't remember the other one, because I went with the Investec account. But anyway, so you open up an account, and it's a transactional account on that side. At any stage, and then you fund that, and you put the money in your mercantile. Thank you very much, Martina. So it's either Mercantile Bank or Investec. So you have a choice. The best thing is you open this bank account without ever seeing these guys. You sign online for it. They ask you to send them a photo with your ID next to your face. So that's how they authenticate. And you open up either the Mercantile or the Investec account. It's done remotely. So I've never seen Paul face to face in my life. Everything was done over the phone. They then phoned me to verify it is my number. I get an email. I send back the email. We verify regarding that. Then at any stage, you have money in South Africa, and you think the Rand dollar exchange is good. You just put it into your Investec account. You put it in your Mercantile account. And if the Rand dollar trade exchange looks good to you, the exchange rate, you just send him an email, say, buy dollars, and they change your rands into dollars. Then the dollars sit in your account. Whenever you're ready and you have a Panamanian bank account, you send them an email from Panama saying, transfer that money. Here's my new Panama personal bank account. And the money gets transferred like that. It takes 2 days. All international transfers take 2 days. It takes 2 days before it hits your Panama bank, but it's here, it's safe, and it's at the best rate you can possibly get. So that is what currency agencies do. And my guy is, like I say, guy by the name of Paul Kruger. I'm going to type his number in here, and once again, I'm going to do it international code. And the beauty is you have, this is his WhatsApp number. You can chat to him on his cell phone. You know, it's probably not very fair and not very nice, but I chat with him over weekends, on Saturdays, on Sundays, whenever he gets the message, whenever he's available. He just answers me and helps me out. And then once again, if I have a client and a client that's transferred money, I always ask the guys, let me know when you transfer any money. They let me know, and I simply give Paul a call, and I said to him, hey, look out for this money, please. And he makes sure that he looks after my clients, and particularly if it's a client listed under my name, he will make sure that he looks after it. If he knows the client comes from me, I can give him a call at any stage, and he personally, because he's obviously he's one of the managers, but he personally looks after the call center guys and make sure they transfer the money, make sure it's right, and he let us know as soon as it is ready. So phone Paul Kruger. So I've put his name in there. Derek, I don't know. Mercantile Bank is a division of Capitec. Don't know. I'm not a banker. I know nothing about this. All I know about is how to get to Panama easy and without hassle. Right. So Martina asked to do the corporation now. Can we transfer to the expat immigration? Martina, thank you so much for asking. Yes, you can. So once you have that account with Paul, he's allowed to pay only 2 people. He can pay your lawyer and he can pay you. So he can't pay your rent in Panama for you, for instance. So once you arrive here and you want to buy a vehicle, he can't transfer money to the dealership for your car. He's by law only allowed to pay 2 people. Number 1, he's allowed to pay you, put that money in your own personal account, and he's allowed to pay your lawyer. So, and this is by absolutely the way I prefer, and I did it like this, and it was fantastic. I had him loaded, everything was ready, and then by the time I needed to pay my lawyer, my law firm, which was Boer, I simply sent their invoice to Paul, and I said, please pay it in full. And half an hour later, I got an email, confirmed, money was transferred. 2 days later, had a message from Di, money was received. I didn't have to go and worry about SWIFT numbers and this and that. Paul and them, they sort it all out for you. They know. And guys, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but for some of our clients, it turned into a nightmare. They used the wrong banking details, because there's 2 ways. Some banks in South Africa don't allow you to directly transfer money to a Panamanian account. You need to use an American intermediary bank. Some banks. So what happened is the client didn't understand that process. They used the bank name of the Panamanian bank and the bank account number of the intermediary bank. And that money just went missing for 2 weeks, because it goes out into the ether. And so it was taken off their account. It was never received here because that account didn't exist. So doing it through a company like Currency Assist, it takes all those hassles away, and it just makes sure that your money doesn't go missing and there's no delay, which is, for them, it was fine. So after 2 weeks, the money was returned, because, you know, it couldn't find any bank account to go into. So eventually somebody had looked at it and said, okay, this money was transferred. There's no bank account. So the money came back to them, but, you know, 2 weeks was lost. In this situation right now we're in, we can't lose 2 weeks. So just make sure that everything is done perfect. Right, so somebody asked a question. Let me see, Keenan, can we not do an international payment from our account to the new bank account? Yes, you can, absolutely. The reasons I don't like doing it, I said that in the beginning. I find with banks, and I'll tell you my personal story, I find with banks that they're not very reliable. Once you're out of South Africa, you've got nobody to talk to. They tell you to come into the branch. So I did the same. So I'm with ABSA. ABSA's got a feature which you can pay Western Union. So I paid somebody in Western Union through Western Union, paid it here. They arrived here at Western Union, and it's not a lot of money. It's only 6,000 Rand, but 6,000 Rand to today, 2 years later, still missing, because ABSA just says, oh, we send it. Western Union says, this code that ABSA send you does not belong to us. So I don't like dealing with banks. Now the banks are saying, no problem, we'll refund your money. Come into one of the branches. I'm like, I'm in Panama. I'm not flying back for 6,000 Rand to South Africa to sort out 6,000 Rand. So I've just written off that 6,000 Rand. So that's why I don't like working with banks. If this happened with Paul, I have somebody to talk to. I can phone him directly, and he's not going to tell me to come see him. So Keegan, yes, you can. It is possible. I don't like doing it, and that's why I give you the other options. Can we open up a bank account in Panama before we arrive? The law in Panama says you are not allowed to open up a bank account. So you have corporations that charge you, we have companies that will charge you $700 to open up a bank account, and you can do it before you arrive in Panama. Guess what? You didn't do it, because you can only do it once you arrive here in Panama. So you still have to go into the bank. Once you sign on the dotted line, then they open up an account for you. So what they do is the money goes to the law firm. They open up kind of a holding account for you, and they just transfer the money. You can do that with any lawyer. So any lawyer, you can ask them, listen, can I put $10,000 in? And it goes into a holding account. And once you are here, yes, the lawyer can transfer the money for you as well. Raymond, once again, just send me a WhatsApp, minus the +507 number. I'm going to put it in here again, and send me your email address, and I'll send you the quote from them, or I'll put you in touch with them. It's very long to type out here, but it is basically Day Barrera. Is Day Barrera and her sister. Now I forgot her sister's name. Shirley Barrera. Those are the people that I deal with. But once again, my number here in the chat. And if you need anything, it seems to me, maybe you've joined late. If you need anything, including quotes from the law firm, everything, send me a WhatsApp. I'll put you in touch with everybody. Right, I'm going to quickly see if there's a couple of other questions. How long can we extend our visa to complete the whole process without having to return? Forever. So how it works is you arrive on a tourist visa. You don't need a visa. So South Africans can visit Panama visa free. So you arrive you just arrived. You don't need anything. The moment you arrive, the clock starts ticking, and you have 6 months before you have to leave the country again. Your application only takes about a week. Then your application goes in. After that week, 3 months to 4 months, you get permanent residency, and you never have to leave again. So the answer is never. You never have to leave. My family, not me, I've been to Panama several times before I came here, but my family, they arrived here. We've been here a year and a half, and they can stay for the rest of their life. That's what permanent residency is all about. So you never have to leave. As a matter of fact, if you want to leave, you have to add a multiple entry exit visa when you arrive here in Panama. And that also adds a couple of hours just on your whole process, as when they have your passport and they stamp it with your visa and your application, they also then need to send it for multiple entry exit visas. They'll give you the right, even though you've applied for permanent residency, to leave Panama again and fly back to South Africa. So cost is between $50 to $100, but that will allow you, even though your application is in the process here, you can still leave and come back. So that's what the multiple entry exit visa does for you. So yes, absolutely, you can. Work visas with friendly nations visa, Rowan, completely different story. And not for today's Zoom meeting. Yes, you can. You can get a work visa, and you get one on your own corporation. It's valid for 3 years, and it's valid at any employer in Panama. Travis, does it have to be a recently issued birth certificate? No, it does not. So marriage certificates, they prefer to be like in the last year or two, because you can get divorced. Kids can't get unborn. So once you're born, that's your birth certificate, that's your birth certificate. So no, there is no, doesn't have to be a recent one. If you have an unabridged birth certificate, you have an unabridged birth certificate. However, I will say it is much better to have copies printed. So you guys will know better than me. I haven't been in South Africa for a year and a half. I went, yeah, it was a little bit crazy. I sat for 3 hours, then had reprints. We call them reprints. I paid 75 Rand each for each of my children, and I had reprints. So I had 3 copies printed, but it's not a copy, it's originals. So 3 reprinted originals done. Because immigration takes that unabridged birth certificate. They take it. You don't get it back. If you want it back, you have to petition them to get it back, and it takes at least a minimum 3 months, because you can only get it back after successful issue of your permanent residency. So only after you get your permanent residency card, then can you petition them to get it back. Too much of a schlep. If you can, by all means, try by all means to have more than 1 copy printed. I had 4 printed, because sometimes the schools take 1 too. So you have immigration take 1, schools take 1. Now at least we are left with 2, and I don't have to go to the hassle to try and get it back from anybody. All right, so I just want to go back, because maybe I didn't finish Lee's question 100%. So the opening of the bank account, banks in Panama are notorious tricky. They are really notoriously very, very tricky. So you get certain banks. You get what they call expat banks. So these are guys that they know all about international transfers, and you pay a premium. You pay $50 to $60 to $70 every month just for having the bank account. But they're very clued up with international transfers. They can do investments for you offshore. You want to buy Bitcoin, they can do all of that for you. But you cannot find an ATM in Panama anywhere. You just can't find it. And they all speak English, by the way, so that's very nice. But you pay a premium for that account, and you have to go to that bank branch, which will be 90% of the time 1 branch in the whole of Panama. So that's at the top end. Then you get the locals bank. So the locals bank is Banco General. Banco General, cheapest rates. You pay the least on ATM withdrawals. But if you are not a local, dang guys, I get the idea they don't even want your business. They kind of make it difficult for you. And these are the friends that I spoke about that open up an account with Banco General. People told them that's the best bank. That's the bank the locals use. Go open up a Banco General. They open up their account. They're all excited, only for the bank to tell them, you're not allowed to do any international transfers for the first 6 months. So that's the locals bank. So you have the upper end, you have the expat banks, then you have the real local banks. It is like the law firm with Day and Shirley that I like to use. They're somewhere in the middle where they give you great service. They understand what you want to achieve, and they're not the cheapest, but they're by far not the most expensive. So it cost me about $25 a year for my Banismo account. And it's the middle of the road bank. You find enough ATMs all over. I've got internet banking. I can do international transfers. The security level is high enough every time I want to transfer like $5,000 or whatever I want to do. Before it goes through, I get a phone call from the bank officer, making sure that it's right. I say yes, transfer goes through. So the level of security versus what I'm paying versus how many ATMs I have to my disposal versus their banking app, everything is just, it's at the right level for me. So when you ask me to assist you with bank account, I do that. I charge $50 for the whole family. So whether it is 2 main applicants or 1 main applicant or 5 main applicants, for my time to take you to my banking officer, it's a guy that I've got to know very well. He speaks English. I take you to him. I help you open up your bank account. For that, I charge $50, and he sits there and he'll explain everything to you, and you have a very nice bank account. By the time you walk out of there, you've got your bank card, and that takes about an hour, hour and a half per person, and your money is deposited. You have your bank statement with shows you $5,000 in, and then I will help you with the banking app, how to register a token, all of that, because it's a little bit different than what you're used to in South Africa, but pretty easy to figure out. And once you have it figured out, to use it is an absolute bliss. I pay everything on a bank account here, because the banking fees for online banking is 0. So if I pay anybody online banking, I don't pay a cent. So even if I want to transfer $5, and this really happens. I mean, I've got a little driving range I go to go and play golf, and they only accept bank transfer. I can't bring cash there. So I've got to pay my $5 online banking, but I do it because it doesn't cost me anything. So the banking thing, it's pretty easy. You would have to have somebody to go with you, though. So either your law firm, and be careful, go and have a look. Law firms will charge you anything between $500 and $700 to open up your bank account. That includes a letter from them. They have to send a letter to say that they are your client. With us, Dave Barrera doesn't charge you a cent for the letter. The letter is free, it's included. And then they actually prefer if you go with me and I open a bank account, it only charges, it only costs you $50 to open up. So if you're a couple, I'll open up both your bank accounts for you. It'll still cost you only $50. You are more than welcome to do it yourself. Some people tackle it by themselves. I can tell you that they phone me after a day and say, please come and do this for me. But you are more than welcome to tackle it by yourself. There's no law that says you can't open it by yourself. I saw some new questions coming in. Do you need a personal bank account? If you do have a corporation bank account, yes, you do. Because the law says you need a personal bank account. So that is what the law says. For immigration, they say we want to see a personal bank account. So yes, you do need a personal bank account, even if you have already a corporation bank account. What I can tell you, if you have a corporation bank account, opening up a personal bank account is going to be a breeze. Go to the same bank, tell them, I want a personal account, and they will open up a personal account for you. You'll walk in, you'll sign the documents, and you'll be out. They won't have too many questions for you when you already have an account with them that is a corporation account. All right, so I'm going to give about a minute or two. Anybody has got other burning questions that you haven't addressed with me on WhatsApp, do it now. But basically, that wraps up the way to get to Panama, to do it quickly, to do it. And for those of you that have joined, thank you very much. And once again, you've got my cell phone number. If you have questions, let me know. So I'm just going to see if I'm going to give it a couple of seconds. All right, so no more questions. Thank you very much, everybody. And once again, get in touch with us. Get in touch with myself, Jana, and Lynette, and then the law firm, of course, which I'll help you with, and get your stuff done. I cannot reiterate how important it is that personally I think you get here before that August deadline. It is going to be double the money and double the effort after that. So if it is within your power, be here before that August cutoff date. And I'm not even going to talk about South Africa and what I see coming for South Africa. But just for Panama, try and do it. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening, and we'll chat soon.